Ladies and gentlemen, and ministers soon to come, it is a pleasure for me to be here today at the launch of the anti-racism and anti-xenophobia campaign. The Norwegian embassy, representing the EA grants, is proud to be one of the main sponsors of this event and of the campaign. In recent years, we have seen worrying trends in today's Europe. Crisis, radicalization, and minorities under pressure. And the challenges are increasing. Unemployment and social instability create a fertile ground for xenophobia. The Council of Europe, the OSCE, and the EU Fundamental Rights Agency have all alarmed us by reporting on the rise of anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and racism, as well as pointing to evidence of increased discrimination based upon nationality, ethnicity, religious belief, sexual orientation, or indeed gender. Respect for democratic principles cannot and should not be taken for granted, not even in deep-rooted European democracies. We are now facing serious challenges. It is truly with great concern that we witness the increase in intolerance, hate speech, and hate crime, targeting minorities and vulnerable groups in Europe and beyond. And these challenges are transnational. We are seeing worrying signs in a number of countries. Pressure on minorities, extremism, and hate crime are on the rise in parts of Europe. This is often linked to financial and social crises at play in many European countries. The lessons of the 1930s is a stark reminder that this continent is responsible not only for some of the best, but also some of the worst events in our collective memory. Despite efforts and commitments from European states to combat discrimination, intolerance, and hate crime, there are several indications that the situation is not improving. My own country, Norway, experienced the grave consequences of right-wing extremist views in the summer of 2011. The terrorist attacks in Oslo and Utøya on the 22nd of July that year are reminders that no country is immune to extremism and other forms of intolerance. The attacks in Norway were in many ways attacks on diversity and our multicultural society. I must say that I'm proud of the way Norway, both our political leadership and our people, reacted. Not by closing up our society, but by more democracy and more dialogue. Only a few days after the horrendous acts, people were invited to a meeting in front of our town hall in Oslo. I personally seldom participate in any kind of public meetings in Norway, but I was there myself, together with my family. My children may have been too young to understand what was going on, but I wanted them to be able to say later, I was there when the people of Oslo held roses high in the air and made a strong statement for democracy and against extremism in all its forms. Ladies and gentlemen, intolerance is often caused by ignorance and fear of the unknown. It is crucial to increase knowledge and raise awareness of other cultures and religions. Therefore, education, contact, and dialogue are important antidotes to hate and intolerance. And so is trust. Building trust between different groups of individuals in our multicultural societies is vital if you are to overcome hatred, ignorance, and intolerance. But fighting xenophobia is not only about politics and big words. People are individually responsible for their actions and their beliefs, and everyone has to be vigilant and speak up against xenophobia. The majority is made up of many individuals, and it is the individuals that must not remain silent. And economic distress should be no excuse for not respecting the rights and equal worth of people who are different from the majority. The obvious thing for all of us is this: adherence to the principles of democracy, the rule of law, and human rights are essential if we are to live together in peace and prosperity in Norway, in Greece, in Europe, and in the rest of the world. These principles represent the opposite of extremism. And in my view, the ability of governments and international organizations to protect the rights of minorities may be the ultimate test of our common democratic values. Promoting such common democratic values, strengthening fundamental rights, and consolidating the rule of law are all priority areas within the EEA and Norway grants. The EEA and Norway grants represent the contribution of Iceland, Liechtenstein, and Norway to reducing economic and social disparities and to strengthening bilateral relations with 16 EU countries in Central and Southern Europe, Greece among them. These concerns cut across sectors and program areas in all the beneficiary countries. The specific attention is given to the inclusion of minorities and vulnerable groups, in particular the Roma, to combat discrimination and racism, as well as to promote tolerance and multicultural awareness in every respect. Through the grants, funding is provided in all beneficiary states to strengthen democratic institutions, reform within the judiciary, police training, reporting, court system, as well as programs within culture and education to foster inclusive societies and fight against discrimination and marginalization. Various programs are actively addressing hate speech, as well as tackling extremism, racism and xenophobia, homophobia, and anti-Semitism. More information about this work is available in some pamphlets that we have just as you are leaving. In order to strengthen our capacity to develop and implement programs in this area, the grants have entered into a partnership with the Council of Europe. The Council of Europe provides invaluable expertise and advice to the donor countries, as well as to the beneficiary countries, when it comes to taking into account European and international standards on human rights, democracy, and the rule of law. We have, as I said, noted with concern some worrying trends, such as increase in resentment and prejudice against immigrants. Muslims and Roma people in particular, including a marked rise in racially motivated hate speech via the internet. Focus on hate speech is gaining prominence on the European agenda. The EA grants are a strategic partner to the Council of Europe's campaign called No Hate Speech Movement. This campaign takes action against hate speech online in all its forms and is based on human rights education, youth participation, and media literacy. And all NGO programs in the beneficiary countries of the grants are engaged in this campaign. We also engage with the EU Agency for Fundamental Rights on issues of shared interest, such as discrimination, mutually reinforcing knowledge exchange, and information dissemination. The EA and Norway grants was a key partner to the FRA conference combating hate crime, which took place in Vilnius in November. Ladies and gentlemen, on a more personal note, and in concluding, I would like to underline the following points. To fight xenophobia and intolerance, which are among the major threats for stability and a sustainable democracy in Europe, governments, international organizations, and civil society, in effect everybody, need to work together. Also, on an individual level, each and every one of us must assume our individual responsibilities. to meet the other person, which is basically everybody, always with respect and without prejudice. To speak up against xenophobia in all situations. And as a parent myself, I will add one more responsibility for all you parents, to make sure that our children grow up respecting all other human beings, regardless and always. We need to foster a culture where core values of human rights, democracy and the rule of law have a solid basis in our societies. Education is in this context very important. However, education is not limited to formal education in schools and universities. Spreading information, raising awareness and creating the right attitude is crucial when fighting xenophobia. And if a piece of chewing gum, together with a clever instruction manual, can make people smile and think, then this campaign is worthy of our active support. This is why the Norwegian Embassy is truly proud to be sponsoring both the campaign that is launched here today. We wish you all good luck with the campaign, and I thank you for your attention.